Okay, everyone, welcome to the After the Show show. And this week, our show was about barbecue. That's right, you heard it, barbecue. Now, every week, you're going to hear us do the After the Show. We're going to show you, give you a little inside baseball about the show from the previous week. So this week, we had Tom Barra, Philly Blind Pig BBQ. Now, you're asking, what is some inside stuff about this show? First of all, he brought in something called turkin. Turkin, okay? It was the most delicious piece of meat I think I've ever had. So that is the behind baseball you'll hear on this week's show. The food that Tom brought in was absolutely incredible. So we filmed that. That is on the YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search Food and Beverage Information Station, you'll see the video of the unbelievable food that Tom brought. This week, we wanted to focus on barbecue, and Tom did an incredible job. What Tom did was Tom did an incredible job giving tips. He gave you everything you need to know about barbecue. We talked about everything that you can think of A to Z about barbecue. The food was literally incredible. I had to duck my head away from the microphone because that turkin was the most delicious thing I think I've ever had. So it's Philly Blind Pig BBQ at Philly Blind Pig on Twitter. The whole talk was about barbecue. We're getting a lot of listeners in the Carolinas. We're getting a lot of listeners down south for this episode because barbecue is big in the South. Another inside baseball thing on that show that we just recorded is I'm going to play the show, the video of the show on the Food and Beverage Information Station on YouTube. I will play that this coming Sunday. So if you want to see, how we do the show, you can watch the Food and Beverage Information Station. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. But once again, this show is 1,000,000% all about barbecue. Tom gives cooking tips. He tells you times on how you should make your meat to make it the most tender. He did a great job. He gave us A to Z all about barbecue. Our listener emails from this show has been nothing but positive. A lot of people loving the fact that they the show gave out recipes plus cooking times, because when you're doing barbecue, your cooking times are important. November 24th is our next show. That is going to be 100% all about Thanksgiving. Now, I had already gotten two friends of mine saying, well, the podcast shouldn't be time specific. You shouldn't really do holiday shows for the podcast. Please note that we are syndicated every Monday, WMLD, Hudson Valley, New York. Every Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m., we are syndicated on IndiePhilly.com. Plus, I personally believe that all food shows should have one show about Thanksgiving, at least in their archives. So the show is going to be 100% about Thanksgiving. It's going to be nothing but recipes and cooking tips for turkeys, etc. Different ways to cook the turkey. We'll tell you the different ways. I invited 13 chefs on the show. We've already got 2 that committed to come in on the 24th, so they're going to share their expertise. But if you guys go to wildfireradio.com, just look for Dining on a Dime, and you can hear episode 53. It's nothing but barbecue. Tom Barra is an award-winning barbecue master. He's won some of the most prestigious competitions in the entire country. He gives you cooking tips. He talks about times. We had a couple of emails from people that love the idea that he gave cooking times. And it sounds like a little thing, but they love that piece of information. Another thing he brought in, that turkin, he called it, because it was supposed to be turducken, but it's turducken without the duck. And that was one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten. And what's funny about our show is we've had two barbecue kings on the show. We had Jim House and now Tom Barra. Jim House brought a pulled pork that I thought was one of the best things I've ever had. And then Tom Barra came back and he brought a turkin. And that was the most delicious piece of meat I think I've ever had. So that's a behind the baseball of this week's show. Our next show is November 24th. And we will be doing nothing but Thanksgiving. I have two chefs that are friends of the show. They're coming on the show to share recipes. We're going to tell you different ways to cook the turkey. It's going to be all Thanksgiving themed. Before I get more emails, I've already heard from friends of mine. We're a podcast plus we're a radio show. So I know podcasts shouldn't be doing seasonal stuff. It should have no time or date. But we're doing this show for our listeners on Indy Philly and WMLD. So that's why we're doing a Thanksgiving show. Another thing is, in my personal opinion, I feel that all food shows, be it on TV or radio, should have one show that focuses on Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is the biggest food holiday in history. So you always, if you're a podcast or a radio food show, you should have one show dedicated to Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is the biggest food holiday in the history of mankind. So that's what we're going to do on the 24th. It's going to be nothing but Thanksgiving recipes. I have two incredibly successful chefs coming in studio. I invited 15 chefs yesterday. I'm expecting more to answer the emails. And then we're going to put them on the show. So if you're looking to prepare for Thanksgiving, you're looking for different ways to cook the turkey, you're looking for temperatures and all that, we'll be back on the 24th. As far as this barbecue show goes, we covered barbecue A to Z. There is nothing Tom did not discuss on the barbecue show. We've already had a couple listener emails saying that they love the fact that he gave you cooking times. All right, so we're going to see you on the 24th. That'll be our next after the show. I'm doing my best to keep everything on a schedule, but that's not that easy. So this should have been posted Sunday. It's only Tuesday. So I'm going out of my way to do different things just to try to keep us on a schedule. All right, everybody, we'll see you on November 24th. Philly Blind Pig BBQ. PhillyBlindPig.com is how you get more information on Tom Barra and his delicious barbecue. Have a great week, and we'll see you on November 24th.